In this video, I'll show you Claude Fable 5, the new model Anthropic just released, where to find it, how it reads charts inside PDFs, analyzes spreadsheets, and builds a full report from a folder of files, all head-to-head against Opus 4.8. Fable 5 is the most capable model you can use right now, but here's what the launch coverage skips. On everyday tasks, you can barely tell the difference. I'll show you where you can. I'm Jamie, let's get into it. Let's start with what this is. Claude Fable 5 is the newest model from Anthropic, the first in the Claude 5 family. The short version is, it's their most capable model that's generally available. It's built for the hardest, longest jobs, like big coding projects, deep research, multi-step work that runs for hours. Anthropic's own framing is that the longer the task, the bigger its lead over the other models. One more piece of context, there's a second model behind this one called Mythos 5 that Anthropic only gives to approved organizations. Fable 5 is the same underlying model with extra safeguards added, so the rest of us can use it. We'll see those safeguards in action later in this video. For every example today, I'm using a made-up company called Basecamp Brew Company. It's just a small coffee roaster in a mountain town launching their Ridgeline Espresso blend. It's going to be the same brand all the way through, and I'm running the test on Fable 5 and Opus 4.8 side by side so you can see the difference for yourself. The point is, Fable 5 is the heavy-duty option, and by the end, you'll know if it's worth reaching for. Now let's find it. Open Claude, start a new chat, and look at the model picker up at the top. If Fable 5 shows up here, you're in. Select it, and every message in that chat uses it. Now here's the timing part, and it matters. Fable 5 is included on the paid Claude plans at no extra cost through June 22nd. Starting June 23rd, Anthropic removes it from those plans, and using it requires credits until they fold it back in. They've said the window may extend if capacity allows, but don't plan on it. Two things to know so nobody panics. If June 23rd arrives and you do nothing, Claude just falls back to your plan's regular models. Nothing breaks, you're simply not in Fable anymore. And on the credit side, Fable costs double what Opus 4.8 does. So that's the real question this video answers. Is the difference worth paying double for? The free window exists so you can find out with your own work. Now that's the access picture. Free to try till June 22nd, and the smart move is testing it on your own data before then. Let's run the first test, and I'll be upfront. I set a trap. One thing before we start, I'm running everything today in incognito chats. Claude has memory and it knows me. On a regular chat, it could lean into that context, so incognito turns it off. That way the models see these files completely cold, same as you would see it. Anthropic says Fable 5 can understand charts and tables nested inside files and PDFs. Anyone can claim that. So I built a document designed to catch a model that's faking it. Here's a one-page sales summary from Basecamp Brew Company. The text paragraph says March was our strongest month, but the bar chart right below it says that April is clearly higher, and the bars aren't labeled. So the only way to get April is to actually read the chart. So a model that only reads the text will repeat that March line. On the left, I have Opus 4.8, and on the right, I have Fable. I'm going to submit both of these. So look at the first line on both sides. Neither model even got to the question before flagging the problem. Opus calls it straight out. The document contradicts itself. April, not March. The trap didn't even survive 10 seconds on either side. Both walk the same trend: launch peak, May dip, summer recovery, fall trough, December rebound, almost interchangeable. But here's the one difference, and it's the same one I found on testing. Look at this line right here, suggesting the customer base grew over the first year. Fable looked at January and February, compared them to the dips earlier in the year, and concluded that the customer base grew. Opus reported the same numbers and stopped there. I ran this 6 times before filming, and it went the same way every time. Every Fable run made that kind of observation. No Opus run did. One small thing on the other side, Opus finished by offering to rewrite the summary for me, so the cheaper model wants to fix your document and the pricier one wants to tell you what it means. So make of that of what you will. One sentence, that's the gap on the task size. If your work depends on that second look at the numbers, the sentence might be worth paying for. If it doesn't, it isn't. Test 2, same idea. Different file. Before filming, I changed one revenue cell in this spreadsheet so it doesn't match unit times price anymore. I'm not going to mention it in the prompt. So for context, one of Anthropic's launch partners, the analysis company Hex, says Fable 5 is the first model to break 90% on their benchmark of long-running analytical task. 10 points ahead of Opus. So that's their benchmark and their statement. So let's see what it does on ours. Here's the Basecamp Brew Company sales sheet. Months, products, units, revenue, and a deliberate error. Normal small business ask. I have the spreadsheet loaded in both. Find the 3 slowest months for Ridgeline, tell me what they have in common, and suggest 2 things to test next. Let's submit both. Both sides got the same 3 months, October, November, May, and both did something I did ask. They checked for each 3 products, saw the whole catalog dips in the same months, and they called it what it is, a seasonal pattern, not a ridgeline problem. So that's the raw data for the actual direction on both sides without me writing any single formula. Honestly, this one, I can give a suggestion, a slight edge to Opus. It set up a control products and a baseline to measure against the cheaper model, designing the better experiment. But neither of them mentioned something that I told you, that I made an error in the spreadsheet. So I knew the spreadsheet was wrong. So the math doesn't add up. And both models read the file top to the bottom without flagging it, not because they can't, it's because I didn't ask. These models answer to the questions in front of them. They don't audit your books on the side. So let's ask. Before filming, I changed one number in this sheet so it's wrong. Find it. And I'm going to ask the same on both. Let's submit. Okay, both of them, same cells, same math in seconds. July Ridgeline, 460 units at $18 should be 8,280, and the sheet says 8,820. Both worked it out. It was a digit swap, and both offered the same reading. If revenue was right, the unit should be 490 that I see on both of them. But over here, watch what Opus did. It said, let me check this programmatically, and it wrote code that verified all 48 rows instead of just eyeballing them. And then this line down here, so the error doesn't change the 3 slowest summer months. I never asked for that. It went back and checked whether the mistake broke its own earlier analysis. So here's the scoreboard after 2 tests. In test 1, Fable had that one extra thought. In this one, Opus did. The differences are real, but they're small, and they don't always land on the side that costs double. And here's the lesson to take home from this. Both models walked right past the error when I asked about the slow months. Both found it instantly the moment I asked them to take a look. The capability is sitting there on either model. The audit only happens if you ask, one extra prompt. So check the sheet for errors. That's it. So test 2, a tie on the analysis, a tie on the audit, and a free habit you can use on any plan. Test 3. Everything so far was 1 file and 1 question. This is 1 prompt and the entire project. So I have a folder with a number of different files in here, 5 to be precise. I do have that Excel spreadsheet in here again, but I did fix that error. So it's the numbers, the summary, 2 supplier emails, my notes from the last launch. Now, 1 ask. Using everything here, draft a launch review memo for the Ridgeline blend, a summary, what worked, what didn't, and a 3-step plan for next quarter. Where the files disagree, say so, and I'll make sure I put this into both. Let's go ahead and submit this. Now we have both of our summaries here, but I'm going to go and open up the markdown file for both of these just so we can compare those. Now, both models pulled from all 5 files, both caught the contradiction, both used the launch notes to settle it. April, not March, and both told me to fix the summary before it goes anywhere. So both connected the late gift boxes to December, both flagged the packaging price lock deadline, 2 real memos, 1 prompt each. Now, the differences, because this time there are some. Opus found 3 disagreements where I planted 1. It caught the March claim. It noticed that the summary says summer held steady when the numbers actually climbed every month. And the big one, it read the supplier email, saw the beans ran 3 weeks late with 2 weeks of stock on hand, and asked whether October's low was a demand or a supply. That's right down here. Now, that's the sharpest sentence in either memo, and it came from the cheaper model. Fable had the best single insight on the other side. It pointed out why the March error actually matters, and the real peak came from the word of mouth and the cafes, not a paid promotion. So that changes where you'd spend on next year. But Fable's memo also has the only wrong number in either document. It says first light sold 3,690 bags. And let's check. I just did a quick sum of these, and you can see The sum of this is 4,090. So Fable dropped a month, a small slip on a stat I didn't ask for, but it's the one factual error across both memos, and it came from the model that cost double. So that's a heavyweight test. Both finished the job. The cheaper model found more problems and made zero mistakes. The pricier one wrote the sharper memo and slipped up on a number. So that's test 3, 1 prompt, 5 files, 2 finished drafts, and still no clean win for double the price. One more test. This one's different because this model is gated differently from every other Claude model. Fable 5 has safeguards built in. Questions in a few high-risk areas like cybersecurity, biology, and chemistry, and attempts to copy the model itself get automatically answered by Opus 4.8 instead. And you see a notice when this happens. So Anthropic says this touches fewer than 5% of the chats, and then the filters are tuned cautiously, so harmless questions sometimes get caught. Let's test this with a coffee question. And this is what I'm going to test. What happens chemically to coffee beans during roasting? Why does a dark roast taste different from Ridgeline's medium roast? So completely innocent question, but it's chemistry, which is on the list. So let's see what happens. So there it is. A question about roasting coffee just got handed to a different model. That's the cautious tuning in action, and now you've seen it exactly what it looks like when it happens to you. 2 practical notes either way. You're not charged for Fable prices when a question gets rerouted, and using Fable comes with a data rule. 30-day retention for safety monitoring. Anthropic says that the data isn't used for training, it's there to catch misuse. So if this matters for your work, you know this going in now. So the point is the same idea as the other models. A few topics walled off, a retention rule attached, and no surprises once you see it happens. So that's Claude Fable 5. 4-wheel test against Opus 4.8, and here's the honest scorecard. Every trap got caught by both models every time. The differences came down to 1 extra sentence here, 1 sharper question there, and only 1 wrong number across all 4 tests came from the model that cost double. Even my coffee roasting question got handled to Opus by Fable's own safeguards. That's not a knock on Fable. It's built for long, heavy jobs, work that runs for hours, not these 10-minute tests. But that's exactly why you shouldn't take my word for it or Anthropic's. The free window exists so you can find out on your own work. So that's the move this week. It's simple. Pick one of these tasks in the video closest to what you actually do, run it on both models before June 22nd, and let your own results answer the credit question. Thanks for watching this week on Teachers Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.